No doubt, the invention of NASA's James Webb Space Telescope has marked the dawn of a new era in astronomy. But what exactly do you know about the JWST apart from its name? And even with that, where do you think the name James Webb Space Telescope comes from? Do you know, for instance, that it was named after the second administrator of NASA and not the first? Want to know why? If yes, then keep watching the video till the end. Also, if you want to get the best scoop about the latest trends and news happening in the space world, then hit that notification button, like and subscribe, and share this video with your friends. With that said, here are some interesting and incredible facts about NASA's latest and greatest observatory, the James Webb Space Telescope, that will leave you amazed and in awe. Number 1. NASA's James Webb Space Telescope was named after the second administrator. While initially the JWST was known as the Next Generation Space Telescope, it was renamed in 2002 in honor of James E Webb, who happened to be NASA's second administrator. That's because Webb became the highest-ranking official for NASA from 1961 to 1968, because it was due to his efforts and pioneering abilities that helped build up NASA, which was, at that time, believed to be a disconnected organization, and changed it into the highly coordinated one that it is known to us today. Therefore, in order to appreciate the pioneering founder of NASA, the most advanced and powerful telescope was named after him. Number 2. It took 26 years to deploy the James Webb Space Telescope. The JWST, one of the most significant scientific inventions of all time, faced its fair share of struggles. For instance, the idea to build JWST was first proposed in 1996, with the initial launch date announced in 2007. The mission, however, was delayed several times due to funding reasons such as financial constraints and a lack of support from higher-up officials. What followed was that in 2011, 4 years after the planned launch date, JWST's design was finalized and construction of its bits and parts began soon after. However, in 2018, when it was first tested, the telescope's sun shield ripped, and the final review reported almost 344 possible single-point failures that were found, which delayed its launch indefinitely. After spending the following years in finding possible solutions and retesting everything, the telescope was eventually launched on December 25, 2021, after 26 years since the initial proposal. Now that's a long time, but it was definitely worth the wait, right? Number 3. JWST's Sharpness of Vision, detecting footballs and pennies. One of the qualities that determines the strength of a space telescope is its sharpness of vision, or also known as angular resolution. And the JWST, as with other categories, does not fall short in this one either. The fact that JWST is able to clearly detect a tiny penny from a distance of 24 miles should have you convinced, right? Or, to give you another example, with its ability to capture images in the highest resolution possible by a telescope, the JWST can also clearly see a football coming from around a distance of 340 miles away. Now that's one impressive vision for a telescope, don't you think? Number 4. The most ginormous space telescope in NASA's history. In the 1990s, when NASA launched the Hubble Space Telescope, it was recorded as the largest space telescope so far in history. However, the James Webb Space Telescope broke this long-held record in 2018. What's more interesting is that the mirrors that the JWST holds are no less impressive than its gigantic size. JWST carries a huge 21.3 foot wide primary mirror that is capable of collecting a greater amount of light than its predecessor, the Hubble Space Telescope, which was adorned by a smaller 7.9 foot primary mirror. Number 5. The mesmerizing gold-coated mirrors of the James Webb Space Telescope. Another thing that makes these mirrors fascinating is that the JWST's mirrors are also plated in 24-karat gold. But why gold-plated mirrors, you ask? Well, to answer simply, In order to observe images in outer space, the JWST uses infrared light to locate objects and capture images. And because gold reflects red light better than any other metal, that is why scientists decided to go for gold. As a result, these reflective surfaces allow the JWST's mirrors to be 98% reflective compared to the typical 85% reflectiveness of standard mirrors, which is a quite clever decision by the makers, don't you think? Number 6. The two sides of the powerful JWST, the Valley of Death versus the glaciers of Antarctica. The telescope boasts two mind-blowing sides, and you would not want to take any of these sides. We say this because one side of the JWST is, you guessed it, hotter than Death Valley, while the other side is colder than the glaciers and gusty winds of Antarctica. The hotter side of JWST, which is constantly facing the sun, boasts a scorching temperature of 185 degrees Fahrenheit, while the other side facing away from the sun, which also contains the mirrors and instruments, always sits at a frigid temperature of minus 388 degrees Fahrenheit, which is twice as cold as the temperature in Antarctica. Ooh, now that sends some chills down your spine, doesn't it? Number 7. The amazing orbit of the James Webb Space Telescope. Another amazing fact about the JWST is that it is sitting in a stable orbit at around 1.6 million kilometers from Earth. But the interesting thing is that it is not orbiting Earth. This is because the JWST needs to always be shadowed from the sun's light, prompting its makers to make the JWST in the sun's orbital position called a Lagrange point, rather than sending it to orbit around the Earth, like its predecessor has done for almost 3 decades. Number 8. James Webb Space Telescope, opening the ancient portals of time. Did you know that the first galaxies that were formed in our universe emitted light in the visible spectrum? However, it is now found that the longer and further away the light travels from us, the more it starts to shift and enter the real or infrared spectrums. This is why astronomers started to feel the need for an infrared telescope that could help them look back into time, that is, when the first galaxies were born. And so when the JWST was invented, needless to say, it did not disappoint. The JWST's ability to capture images using infrared sensors helped it in fulfilling astronomers' dream of being able to witness, explore, and capture the light of the very first stars that were formed billions of years ago. This achievement of the JWST, that no telescope before it could achieve, makes it one of the most powerful telescopes in the world, and that's a fact. Number 9. JWST's monumental achievement unlock: less fuel and a smoother launch. Most of the failures in space experiments take place during launch. However, the JWST's launch and deployment went so smoothly that it is expected mission length was doubled. Not only that, but the telescope also requires only a tiny amount of fuel to keep it stable and complete its stable Earth around the sun. The interesting fact is that while its makers gave JWST about 10 years of life, they were in for a big surprise. Rather than just 10 years, the JWST's launch vehicle was so accurate in the telescope placement that much less fuel was required to get the JWST to its position, which meant that much more fuel was saved, and hence, the expected life of the telescope is also drastically increased. And because the amount of required fuel was the sole thing that was cutting the JWST's journey short, the fact that the JWST succeeded in saving extra fuel is a monumental achievement that NASA definitely did not see coming its way. These were some of the most interesting facts about the James Webb Space Telescope. Which fact did you come across for the first time, and which one did you find the most intriguing and why? Let us know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed watching this video, press the like button and tap subscribe to stay notified, and keep watching amazing videos about space telescopes, NASA news, and other space updates. See you in our next video.